Hello students, through this video I am going to explain you the lesson from your snapshot under the name Rangas Marriage, written by Masti Venkatesh Iyengar, who was a well-known writer in Kannada language. He was born on 6th June 1891 in Hosahalli and died on 6th June 1986 in Bengaluru. He was the fourth among Kannada writers to be honored with the Jnanpith Award, the highest literary honor conferred in India. He was popularly referred to as Masti, which means Kannada's treasure. Now, with this introduction, let us get into the story. This story, Ranga's Marriage, is located in Hoshahalli, a village in the former Mysore state, now a part of Karnataka. 10 years ago, the village didn't have many people who knew English. The village accountant's son, Ranga, was the first one to be sent to Bangalore to study. A decade ago, the use of English language was not widespread in the narrator's village. That was why Ranga's homecoming was a great event. People rushed to his doorstep, announcing that Ranga, who had gone to Bangalore for his studies, had come back. They flocked together to have a look. The narrator too went and stood in the courtyard. Seeing so many people there, Ranga came out with a smile on his face. Everybody was surprised to see that Ranga was the same as he had been 6 months ago, when he had first left the village. Once they realized that Ranga was unchanged physically, the crowd of people slowly disappeared. Only the narrator, Shyama, continued to stand there. After everyone had gone, the narrator asked Rangappa how he was. Ranga noticed him, came near him, and greeted him respectfully. Ranga was a worldly wise young man. He knew when it would be to his advantage to talk to someone. He rightly assessed people's worth. The narrator was resting in the afternoon when Ranga came to his house with a couple of oranges in his hand. The narrator regarded him a generous, considerate fellow. He thought that it would be a fine thing to have him marry, settle down, and be of service to the society. He asked Rangappa when he planned to get married. Ranga replied that he was not going to marry just then. He needed to find the right girl. She should be mature enough. Secondly, he wanted to marry a girl he admired. He was not in the favor of the arranged marriages prevalent in society. If he could not get a girl of his choice, he would prefer to remain a bachelor. The narrator felt distressed at Ranga's decision to remain a bachelor. Ranga left after chatting for some time. The narrator made up his mind that he would get Ranga married. He thought that Ramarao's niece, Ratna, a pretty girl of 11, would be the most suitable bride for him. She was from a big town and knew how to play the veena and the harmonium. She also had a sweet voice. The next morning, the narrator went to Ramarao's house and told his wife to ask Ratna to fetch some buttermilk from his house. When Ratna came, he requested her to sing a song. On this Friday, she was wearing a grand sari. The narrator had sent for Ranga too. While she was singing a song, Ranga reached the door. He was curious to see the singer and peeped in. The light coming in the room was blocked. Seeing a stranger there, Ratna stopped abruptly. She stood at a distance, her head lowered. Ranga repeatedly glanced at her. He said that his arrival had made her stop singing and offered to leave. But he didn't leave. Ratna, overcome by shyness, ran inside. Ranga asked the narrator who that girl was. He also expressed the hope that she was not married. The narrator noticed his excitement and said that she was married a year ago. The narrator noticed signs of disappointment on Ranga's face. Ranga left after some time. The next morning, the narrator went to the astrologer, Shastriji, and told him to keep everything ready to read the stars. He tutored the astrologer in all that he wanted him to say. Then he escorted Ranga to the Shastri's house. Shastriji praised astrology as an ancient science. He asked Ranga's star. Ranga didn't know. After making some calculations, Shastriji said that Ranga was thinking about a girl. To the narrator's question as to who that girl was, the Shastri said that she had the name of something found in the ocean. Kamala, Pachi, Moss, Pearl or Ratna, the precious stone. The narrator remembered that the name of the girl in Ramarao's house was Ratna. He asked if there was any chance of their negotiation bearing fruit. Shastri gave a positive response. There was surprise on Ranga's face and some happiness as well. The narrator observed that the girl was married. He noticed that Ranga's face had fallen. On the way, they passed by Ramarao's house. Ratna was standing alone at the door. The narrator went in alone. He came out within a minute and gave the news that the girl wasn't married. He remarked that whatever Shastri told them had turned out to be true. He asked Ranga if he had been thinking of her. Ranga admitted it. So Ranga was married to Ratna. Years later, Rangappa invited the narrator for dinner on the occasion of 3-year-old son Shyama's birthday. He had named his son after the narrator. Young Shyama rushed to the narrator and put his arms round the narrator's legs. The narrator kissed him on his cheek and placed a ring on his tiny little finger. The narrator also revealed that Ranga's wife was 8 months pregnant then. Thus, Ranga was leading a happy married life with Ratna. With this explanation, we have come to the end of this lesson.